Okay, so what are the key responsibilities of a supply teacher? So, some of the key responsibilities that supply teachers have is making sure that classroom management is being effectively implemented in the classroom, monitoring students' behaviors, taking students' attendance, and supervising students throughout the day. It's important to note also that supply teachers are often responsible for the daily responsibilities of their regular teacher. So, for instance, if the regular teacher is expected to go on a field trip that day, or they're expected to monitor the hallways during lunch, or if they're on duty during recess, the supply teacher is also responsible for those duties. Um, Also, they're responsible for organizing students' papers and assignments, and they're responsible at the beginning of the day reporting to the office and completing all of their classroom duties that are assigned to them. I believe that there is a lot of benefits with I believe that there's a lot of benefits when it comes to supply teaching. I believe the supply teaching allows for a lot of experience, especially for newer teachers who don't have those years of experience of lesson planning, because I've talked to supply teachers before and they say that they actually learn a lot going into different classrooms and seeing how different teachers have different routines for students, and even learning about the different resources that they use, which I think is great. I believe it also allows for flexibility because as a supply teacher, you really do not know what class you're going to get until the day of, until you actually meet the students. And I feel like teaching is like that a lot of times, where you're not always prepared and you just got to do things on the fly, and you got to have that flexibility and be open to things, even if you make mistakes. Another benefit is that you're not in charge of the class, so you don't have the extra responsibility that a teacher would have in doing report cards unless they're doing LTO eventually, but in doing report cards and doing anecdotal notes all day. You would write notes to the regular teacher, but you're not going to be constantly writing notes every single time. That, not as extraneous notes as regular teachers would. And even with assessments, you're not going to be doing them really as often or even at all. Some of the challenges, I think, is just meeting new students every day. When you're a classroom teacher, you kind of get to build that rapport with students. But because you're only working with students for such a minimal amount of time, it's really hard to get to know each and every student. I know supply teachers I had in my class, they didn't always know the names of every single student. So it was kind of difficult to get to know students on a personal level, which could also contribute to difficulties when it comes to students showing respect towards you. Obviously not knowing the teacher's normal routines, just going by what you're given. Classroom management is difficult because, sometimes the experiences I have had as a student, students don't always respect supply teachers in the same way that they would respect their own teachers. So I just think it's just the idea that you're meeting new faces. You don't really get to stay in a classroom for a long period of time. So I think there's definitely pros and cons of supply teaching.